Hello and welcome to Ethereum Classic Community Call number 47. It's Friday, March 6th, 2026. This community call is an open voice discussion about Ethereum Classic. Everyone is welcome. Please be excellent to each other. The call will be published to YouTube. If you're interested, you can join us in the next call 1 hour before the scheduled time for an unrecorded hangout. This week I've been joined by Dirty Rusky, who's a guest this week, and we had a nice little chat before. So why don't you join us next time, an hour before the scheduled call. Before the call, just have a few announcements to make. You can go to cc.ethereumclassic.org to find all the information about these calls. You can browse past episodes and look at the transcripts. And we have an announcement from Bitmain that they will be hosting an X Spaces call at the end of March, date to be confirmed, with prominent stakeholders discussing the future of ETC fork. Watch this space for details and follow them on Twitter for more information. I'll also go through the pull requests that have been merged and remain open from last call. So in ECIPs, we've merged PR 563, which is dropping EIP 764 from the 1121 spec, which Cody Burns, who's on this call, was making this PR. And I think we discussed this last call, but Cody, could you just explain what the rationale for dropping 17642 is?
Yeah, this one was the new requirements for keeping the history or losing the difficulty in the network communication spec. So it's mostly targeted at the post-merge Ethereum client so that they don't have to keep a lot of old data. And so since we are remaining proof of work and need the difficulty, we definitely want to keep that. So that's why it was deferred.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. In ECIPs, we also have some basically admin PRs that got merged, including templates for submissions, modernized the build, and fixing Olympia ECIP categorization. And we also opened a new PR from Gravity Lab, which we talked briefly about the last call. Gravity said that he'd be joining this call, but so far he's not on the call. Maybe he'll join later to discuss that PR. On ethereumclassic.org, we have opened a PR to update dependencies, pretty boring. And there's some pending open PRs about ECIP 1120 that we can discuss in the chat. So just to make maintainers aware that there are some still open PRs there. To recap on the last call, the action items were for me to implement 1121 into ETC Nexus. And I've currently created a new branch for tracking that progress. There's a plan in place. And I was previously running the Nexus tests on cloud infrastructure. And that turned out, after I looked at my G-Cloud build, to be extremely inefficient way of doing things. So I've since invested in some self-hosted hardware. And I will be, from now on, running these test suites locally at a much reduced cost. So this AI development workflow will be done on metal hardware instead of in the cloud. So you can follow that branch for any comments that you might have on implementing 1121, or just follow it as I kick things off in the coming days. I've also created an experimental new repository called ECUP. You can find this link on the agenda. But basically, based on our last call, it was kind of unclear how, without the activity of Ethereum Classic Cooperative, how the community can go forward with organizing and coordinating hard forks, and what kind of checklists we need to implement and gather all the different participants. So I kind of just, like AI, threw up this potential repo that we could potentially use in the main Ethereum Classic org as a kind of sister project to eSIPs. It's called eCup, Ethereum Classic Upgrade Process, and we could use this potentially to track the progress of hard forks, including gathering consensus, tracking implementation details, and setting block heights and that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is just a starting point, but I think maybe in lieu of having a centralized organizing body for coordinating hard forks, this could be a more decentralized approach. There's still a lot of to-dos, and we need to gather all the contact details of all the stakeholders. But Cody, what do you reckon about this?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm just looking at it now in real time.
Mhm.
I guess is the intent that we would like put all the contact information we have for exchanges and custodies and things like that in here?
Yeah, or at least the publicly available contact details and a kind of checklist of all the major exchanges that we can reach out to, and then kind of assign contact roles to people so that they can confirm that exchanges are aware and miners
Yeah,
and that kind of thing.
yeah. I mean, I think it makes sense. So we can have it something we can all coordinate around. Uh, there's a list in Google Sheets somewhere that has a lot of contact information. I guess I don't want to put anyone's uh, information out there that I guess isn't the public contact
Yeah,
because
agreed.
I do like the
Maybe they,
concept in general.
yeah, definitely. This is intended for purely like open contact details only and nothing private. We might need to think about how we can have some level of privacy, but also keep it somewhat transparent. But yeah, it's a starting point, and we can, see how it evolves.
Yeah,
Cool. Yeah, one of the previous action items was to unblock PRs, and that's been done. A bunch of PRs have been approved and are now going through. The only things are the website articles, which one of them got approved, so that's ready to go. I saw that you merged some stuff recently, Cody.
yeah. I saw that
And
one of them needed a date change as well.
yeah, that can also
One
be
of
updated.
okay.
And we resolved the Diego task to check 7642 by dropping it. So that covers the last call and like little to-do list at the start of each call. So before we dive into the main thing, I just wanted to say hello to Dirty Rusky, who's joining us after a while. So it's nice to see you on a call, Dirty Rusky. How should I address you, by the way?
Thank you for having me. You can address me whichever way you like. Dirty Risky. My name is Ivan. Whichever one you prefer.
Okay, I'll stick with Dirty Rusky for now. And thanks for joining.
For
You
sure.
can feel free
Thank you
to
for having
jump
me.
in, of course. Feel free to jump in at any time, and yeah, it's an open discussion. So
It's I think it's great to have these calls. That just it'd be great to also have more people to join. But looking at the market and its current condition, one can only expect, but to have only the people who have been in the Ethereum Classic for a while. So, but it's good that we even have this because we could have no calls at all and no discussions, and this change just could continue to roll down. But I think ultimately, uh, history tends to repeat itself, and I think history is going to repeat itself again with Ethereum Classic as it did in 2021 and previously, and it's something that you cannot kill. It's something that just keeps getting stronger and stronger as someone keeps trying to destroy it or discredit it or make it less than what it really actually is. Because as I mentioned earlier, Ethereum Classic is just this great farm, this field of opportunity waiting for the right sowers to sow. And it's been untainted, and it's like the most fertile ground that you can plant your seed in and build your idea upon and expand, because no one has been doing it at all. But yet here it is. It has all the tools and everything else that one would need for success. Not to mention the cost. And currently, it's probably one of the best opportunities to get in Ethereum Classic, considering its price, gas cost, and it's up to date. It's not like we're behind or anything on the technology that has been introduced to the crypto markets and crypto field since the beginning. But yeah, I think it's the perfect land of opportunity, and we're just kind of got to defend this land till we get the right people who are willing to pour their sweat and plant their idea and let it grow into this beautiful tree that produces the sweetest fruit ever. And I think we will see that day. It's just we have to patiently wait and defend this land. That's all.
Yeah, well said. I love the analogy, and I also feel the same. And as the time goes by, the chain gets more and more fertile and valuable. Like the longer it's lasted, the more secure it's proven itself to be. And I
Absolutely.
think we just gotta just, I mean, don't mess things up too much. Basically, is my stance, and keep it running. And as other chains kind of do their own thing, eventually, um, the value will be recognized. And
Well, I
yeah,
mean, Vitalik tried to kill us, okay, when he forked his Ethereum. And let's just get this straight and out of the way. Ethereum is the fork of Ethereum Classic, which is the continuation of the original chain. Then we had the 51% attacks, and everyone done gave up on the Ethereum Classic. Hey, Ethereum Classic is dead. Ethereum Classic is dead. And boom, there it is, $180 a coin. And everyone stepped in and everyone came in to defend Ethereum Classic. I mean, from absolutely every corner of this field, we had everybody collectively defending this land that we all love so much, that we all grew up with. And then, we had to defend this land against Charles Hodgkinson, and he had no great success, although he tried. And it's just another trial and tribulation, which they only make us stronger and grow us together more as one, rather than, yeah, we do bicker and separate sometimes, but in the end, I think there will come this thing, like this great tribulation, that will only make this chain recognizable for the greatness that it is. So it's everything happens for a reason and a cause, and I think eventually Ethereum Classic will come out on top.
yep, totally agree. And all we have to do is not give up on Ethereum Classic, and it won't give up on us, I think. And that's my intention, to continue supporting this chain as long as I can, really.
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
did have a question for you. I'm not on X, Twitter anymore, intentionally, for my own firewalling purposes, I guess, conceptual firewalling. Is anyone here on Twitter, and what is it like nowadays, especially with regards to ETC?
There's really not crypto Twitter. I would say is pretty much not dead, but everyone in this state of chaos of giving up. And
Hmm.
because if you, I mean, just look at what's happening in the world, and then you look at what's happening with BlackRock and ETFs, and say, yeah, ETFs is going to be our answer. They're going to save us. Yeah, the billionaires are going to save us. Wait for the institutions. The institutions are going to save us. They're going to pump our bags, when they not realize that these are the people who ran the Wall Street. Okay, and they're thieves. And I don't know what everyone was thinking, but we're getting the very thing that we all deserve for letting these heathens come into this market space and do this very thing that they're doing now. So it's just right now we're in this motion of commotion of the sea and the storm that we got to ride out. But this these chains like Bitcoin and Ethereum Classic, they were designed in such a way where you can only do this for so much because of its like mathematically it's impossible for them to do what they want to do. So eventually, as I said earlier, Ethereum Classic is going to come out on top. Bitcoin is going to come out on top because these two chains are unkillable.
Right. And that's specifically related to the proof of stake, proof of work thing. Like with proof of stake, having the financial weapons that are available to actors outside the chain makes it vulnerable in a way that proof of work is not. And that's like this unique thing about Bitcoin and Ethereum Classic. So yeah,
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to pick up on that idea. What also separates Ethereum Classic from Bitcoin, because see now Bitcoin, a little guy can't in his grandma's basement who has nothing to his name but his little video card, you no longer can do that with Bitcoin. But with
mm,
Ethereum Classic, you still can. It still puts the power back into a regular Joe, that has nothing, but it can literally lift them out of poverty if they so put their faith and time, and just they don't even really have to do nothing, just set it and forget it and let it mine. And
right,
Ethereum Classic has kept that promise to the little guy, to where, hey man, you too can come and be part of this network and part of this family. We love all who love us. So yeah, Ethereum Classic has the advantage of that, because if you look at what happened with Bitcoin, it's got industrialized. The whole mining operation, it has become quite a big of a business, to where there is no bite for the little man. It's only if you have big money for you, then you can join, or you can buy one of those scam ASICs where they say, oh, with 1 gigahash you can maybe find a block, in a trillion years. But yeah, it's realistically it's pretty much almost impossible. But with Ethereum Classic, man, you can just keep on keeping on. If you got just a regular 8 gigabyte graphics card, just keep mining until the right time for the ripening, and tasting of the fruit. Because tell you a story, my friend, he wanted to get into crypto mining, and I was like, all right, well, you're kind of getting into it at the wrong time, but I'm gonna set you on the coin. So I told him mine Ethereum Classic, and he mined Ethereum Classic all through the 51% attack times, and he sold right before it started pumping in
mm,
2021, and he kind of kicked himself in the butt for that one. But yeah, if only he would have kept that, he would have had quite a substantial amount of money. So that's also come to show, don't give up on Ethereum Classic that easy and that fast. So yeah.
yeah. And we are at historic lows in terms of price. So now is probably one of the best possible times to buy ETC. This is not investment advice, obviously, but if you just look at the charts, you can see that, yeah, it can't go down too much more, I
We're
guess.
literally scraping the bottom,
Yeah,
scraping it and scraping it and
right.
scraping it. And honestly, whoever is selling right now, man, they're gonna regret it. They're gonna regret it. And it's
Yeah.
not even gonna take that much, because we're like so far behind. We're about a year overdue for a substantial inflow of of money into this blockchain. And I think a lot of people are eyeing it, because look at it, it is listed on every single major exchange, even Coinbase, and nobody has even mentioned of, or of suggested that Ethereum Classic is going to be getting delisted or anything like that. In fact,
Hmm.
other exchanges have embraced it. Robinhood and some other exchanges, like, hey, now we offer Ethereum Classic, because they know what its potential is.
Right.
So
It's
right
also
now it's definitely.
it's one of the coins that is like very clearly decentralized and not something that could be classified in ways legally like some of the chains that might be
Yep.
different to Bitcoin, in my opinion.
We have no kings.
Yeah.
We have no rulers. It's whatever it is, we do it all as a community, for we are all one here.
Yeah.
Whether we agree or disagree, we can always come to an arrangement where whatever the law says, because code is law.
Code is law indeed. I just noticed that Justin has joined the chat. Would you like to say hello, Justin, or feel free to just stay muted if we can move on? Your call.
Hey guys.
Hey, Justin. Good to hear
Hey,
from you.
Justin.
Thanks for joining.
Sorry, yeah, I was just doing some stuff and then listening in. What's going on there?
We're just about to get into the meat of the call. I just wanted to say hello. Good to see you join.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I missed the last one, I think. So I wanted to get to here for this one.
Awesome. Yeah, we're going to be doing these more regularly now, so there'll be lots of opportunity. Cool. Good to hear from you. Let's dig into the agenda now. So first topic is just before this call, I got a message from Chris Mercer, who has an update on Olympia. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just the important part. So the Olympia upgrade client work is functionally complete and currently undergoing internal testing. Local network tests are running now to identify edge cases and bugs before moving forward with Mordor testnet deployment. Once that phase is complete, block numbers will be set and broader testing coordinated. So there's more to the message, but I think that's the message he wants to get across. I'm really hoping that Chris can join a call in the future at some point to discuss Olympia further, but for now, that's the message I'll relay. I also noticed that Chris replied to a message in the Olympia upgrade discussions, in the Ethereum Classic discussions. There was a new kind of unknown GitHub account made a comment about Olympia. That would be Romain Blatia. There's questions as to whether it's like an authentic account, but it seems like reasonably logically written. So you can jump over to discussions linked in the agenda to see more about that. And yeah, I also replied to Chris's message about the questions that I raised previously, in particularly about whether implementing ECIP 1112 is a thing if 1113 is not viable. It seems that Chris is claiming that whether or not 1113, that is the Treasury proposal system itself, is viable. So whether or not that's possible, we should still implement 1112 and 1111, which is the deposit contract for the mining rewards. So I believe, if I'm not misrepresenting Chris, that he believes that we should still fork Ethereum Classic and create this fund from mining rewards, even if it's not possible to do a treasury DAO. And to me, that seems a bit incoherent, but maybe I'm not really understanding his position correctly. It'd be great if he could engage with that discussion and potentially have a chat about it on a call in the future.
I believe Chris is trying to act as the king, like he owns this land. And he was a bit of in denial about the whole situation. But hopefully, the community will wake up soon enough to make him recognize these things.
I don't think that's a fair classification of it.
Well, naturally, you wouldn't, Cody, because you're a co founder of Nolympia.
But that's also not what it's called. You're aware that the entire community is like the 6 people that are in these calls, right? That
It's
are actually trying to do something with this.
It's definitely not just you and Chris, because like you guys literally
Well, no
took
kidding.
the historic Discord of without any vote, you are changing things and the whole course of the history of Ethereum Classic, which is something.
That's not true.
How is it not? Did you not change the link on the Ethereum Classic website? Did you not create a whole new Discord calling it the community Discord? Did you not create an account
Yes,
in CoinMarketCap claiming that that is the official Ethereum Classic account, blocking people from being able to reply even? Are you kidding me? Are you also in denial just like Chris?
I'm happy to reply to you if you're not going to be hysterical.
I'm not being hysterical. Is it being hysterical just by presenting facts?
The reason that the Discord was delisted was clearly stated in the
Who delisted it?
GitHub.
Who delisted it?
The GitHub, it's in the GitHub. Here,
It's
feel free to read the thing.
who delisted it? Who gave you the right to delist it? And who voted on this?
I voted on it. I had you blocked for years because you're nothing but
You
a
voted
pest.
on it. You personally voted on this, so now you are the
I
king.
review and approved it. Yep.
You reviewed and approved it. Okay, well, everybody can hear this on the recorded call, and they'll let the community decide. Cody, you and Chris really
It
think
was
that you are running things,
unsafe.
but you are only shooting yourself in the foot, and soon all of your productivity and input that you have given to Ethereum Classic over the years is all going to be shoved down in the dirt because you're
Are you
only
able to
shooting
stop the
your own
bots on that chat?
credibility. Oh, wow,
Dirty
really?
Rusky, were you able to stop the bots on that chat or prevent
Bots?
people from being
What
scammed? I mean, the bots
bots on the
eventually
chat?
left because there was no one to scam.
What are you talking about, Chris? Listen, I don't even no idea what you're talking about. The bots that what's his name? Bro
The bots
Lau,
that were
he
scamming
literally
people
admitted,
and hitting DMs.
Brother Lau literally admitted that he was letting bots in, creating bots. He got caught amidst it all, and as soon as he left, that's when the bots left. Very interestingly. Okay, you guys create this problem so you can come in as these saviors. Oh yeah, we're gonna save you guys. It ain't nothing but you're
So
doing nothing different than what the politicians are doing in America, creating problems that you give the solutions to, but you are not the solutions, and community can see right through you. Everyone can see right through you, and you're only killing
and
your own
this,
credibility.
Rusky, this is why I muted you on the channel, because you get hysterical and you can't make sense. You talk in circles.
That's to you because you have ears, but you
If you can
cannot hear,
gather your
brother.
thoughts, if you can gather your
I,
thoughts and give a
you should
coherent
probably
reason
listen to this
why that
call. You
channel
should
should be
probably listen
there.
to this call. After you're finished, you should listen to this call because then maybe you can hear it, my brother.
I haven't heard you say anything that makes any sense yet. You think people will come to your land that you want to defend whenever it's the right people, yet you refuse to admit that someone
You
has
are
to
not
be
the right
here
people, Cody. At this
bringing
point, you're
people
not the right
around.
people. You are not the right people. I
Well,
don't
great.
want
Go
you in
find a
this
new chain
land.
then.
I hope you leave this land, and I hope you never come back because you don't deserve to be part of the Ethereum Classic community at this point. You
Well,
and your No Olympia fork, which is not going to go through. You guys present it as it's a done deal. It is not a done deal. Let's get this straight. Ethereum Classic
Well, I'm
community, I want
glad
you
that
all
you
to
have written
know
something
that No
about this.
Olympia is not a done deal. Nobody has they have a proposal, but it's not done as they claim that it is. It's not going to be implemented, and I hate to burst your bubble, my friend. So stop selling something that is not. You blowing smoke up people's asses about something. You're lying. You're lying to people. That's all you're doing. And what do you think is going to happen to you in the end when it doesn't happen? All these people that you gave all these empty promises to, what do you think is going to happen to you and your credibility? You're never going to be able to get a job in this field.
Okay, I think Cody just rejoined. Maybe he missed some of that. I just want to add some context here for
I
the
doubt I
listeners.
missed it.
Yeah, you can listen to the YouTube if you're really that interested. But
I'm not.
yeah,
He's never given me anything of value.
to give some context to the thing about the Discord. So the old quote unquote legacy Discord is still listed on the website. It's in the footer alongside the new Discord. And the rationale for updating that Discord was indeed because at the point, the admin of the legacy Discord was not reachable. And it was kind of overrun by bots, it seemed. And things seem to have calmed down a bit. I don't know what's changed in terms of moderation, but both Discords are listed. My stance is that the more the better. So having more Discords is better. I just prefer decentralization and having backups. But that's
Yeah,
basically why
it
I
seems like the
approve as well.
people, the two
In
parasites that were there, as soon as
general,
they left, that's when the bots stopped. Coincidentally, like I said, they created a
Mm.
problem, and then because oh look, there's a problem, we got to create something new. There's a solution, and coincidentally, now we don't have this overflow of bots. It's like everybody can see it.
Hmm. Interesting
yeah,
theory.
great,
I didn't even think about
great
that.
logic.
Yeah.
Also, it
Well,
could be that
yeah.
all the bots moved on to scam AI now, and the price is at
Oh yeah,
$8.
Cody.
So
Yeah, all the
there's no
bots
one to
converted
rob.
to AI. Yeah, blow smoke up people's asses.
Also,
So anyway,
I
we
want to
need to
defend
move off
Cody a bit.
Discord in general.
Yeah,
There's no need to defend me. I'm just ignoring him. We need to move off Discord because they're moving to a Face ID or a Real ID system at some point as well.
right.
You guys took over Twitter accounts, we tweet together, proposing your no Olympia like it's a done deal. This was like even before 2026. It's not just Discord. You guys
Rusky,
literally took over every single channel, Coin Market Cap, Twitter, we tweet together or whatever that thing is called, and now the Discord. So yeah, absolutely. You guys are trying to kill off something that is unkillable, but like I said before, in the end, you all are going to be very disappointed because the community, nobody supports your fork, nobody supports your idea. Nobody who is important in this field supports no Olympia. And I say no Olympia because there will be no Olympia.
did you get it out of your system? Can we actually have a productive conversation yet?
There is nothing productive about you, Cody. You're counterproductive against this chain. And in fact, I think you're a parasite.
Guys, can we try to lower the
Well,
temperature a bit and let's
yeah.
like try and be a bit nicer to each other? Like we all know what
I'm
happens.
fine.
Like I think like toxicity as a concept is fine, but if it's just group infighting, it doesn't really help much. And
Mm.
I'm hoping that we can potentially maybe since last year move to a different mindset in this community where yes, people have different opinions and different ideas, and like I think that look, I'm against Olympia, but I think we can only assume people's good intentions, even if they're not actually good. We have to kind of assume that because there's no other way of proving it, and we can only
But it's
argue on the points.
but like I told you before, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck, and it's not very hard to see. And everyone I, that I know of that has been historically with Ethereum Classic, even Bitmain, nobody wants no Olympia. Or okay, just for the sake of
That's not true.
Cody,
You can't
I'll
speak
call
for
it
Bitmain
Olympia.
now.
Bitmain is not. They're not for Olympia. I can tell you
I'm
right
not saying
now,
they're
they're
for or
not for.
against it. I'm saying you don't speak for Bitmain.
Oh, I do because I don't speak for Bitmain, but I have spoken with the people who run Bitmain directly.
So you
So
don't
you
speak
don't
for
know
Bitmain.
who I've spoken with. You don't know who I've been talking to, and I'm telling
I
you,
welcome you to open a PR.
as directly per Bitmain representative that they are not going to. This is their words. We are not going to be supporting Olympia.
Great.
Well, I guess
I welcome
maybe
their official statement.
I will
yeah,
share the screenshot if you don't believe me. If that's okay.
I'd rather you
and
not slander their name.
I'm
yeah,
slender their name.
maybe
It's not slender in their name. That's their word.
Bit, Bitmain will likely have something to say on this during the X Spaces call at the end of the month, and probably there's no reason to kind of reveal sources, I guess, until that happens. Perhaps we should just
This is
put
back when
this.
Don was alive. Don and I had a conversation, and Don was kept a very close connection with Bitmain. And yes, I have talked to some of the representatives and officials with Bitmain on Twitter, and Don has been keeping contact with them. And from what I was given through Don and directly through the representatives who represent Bitmain at the time, they said we will not be supporting Olympia. That was their word. And I'm just telling you what I was told. Now, whether you want to accept it or not, that's a whole another subject. But I'm just giving you, which is the truth.
It's a cool story.
Okay, let's move on the discussion. This is clearly like a very fiery thing, and it'd be great for viewership. I might even make some clips of this and add it to the start of the chat in a a promotional way for this call. But for now, like the next item on the agenda would be ECIP 1121. I think Olympia, given its like kind of obvious contention at this point, I don't know if this is something that is going to happen alongside 1121 or 1121 we talked about in previous calls is something I think we can all agree on. And the order of operations here seems to me like 11121 is the main focus right now. And we basically have everything in place in terms of decision making. And really, it's just about implementing into the clients and testing at this stage. I've updated the ETC Nexus repo with this plan, and we'll be executing it, as I mentioned. And I think this is, in my opinion, the next step for ETC. And we can kind of put the Olympia, or shall I say Olympia Treasury, the naming is a bit confusing, but that 1111 to 1115 doesn't need to be the focus at this point. And we'll see what happens in upcoming calls with Bitmain, etc. That might resolve itself.
Were you able to get any testing done in the Nexus?
I have not yet, but I will be doing it very soon. The first step is actually to implement a custom ETC Nexus testing framework for the ECIPs that were in previous forks, because currently we're just running it against the EIPs on Corgeth, etc. So I'm not sure exactly, apart from asking Claude to help me, how and what tests need to be crafted specifically for ETC. So that will be the next stage. And then after that, I can say, hey, go and turn on these EIPs and run wild until we have a potential candidate. That repo is forkable. I've got the thing in there, but I've also now got the hardware to run those tests, because previously it was using a 4-core cloud machine and it was taking like 5 days to run the whole test suite. And that's not really good enough, I think. So hopefully I can iterate more quickly with this new hardware. It is, unfortunately I was pretty busy last week, so I've only been focusing on ETC basically this morning. So I guess my bad for not actually implementing things this week, but I will, again, as the cadence of these calls picks up, I'll be executing agent tasks more frequently, including this ETC Nexus and ECIP 1121. Do you have any input on how I should proceed with this?
I know Diego's been working a lot with Nethermind and Besu. Have you been synced up with him in this also?
Yeah, so he's actually given me, this would be a good opportunity to move to the next agenda item. Diego gave me a bunch of updates that he's been making. He was unable to join this call, but he's given me 4 things that he's been working on this week, and I'll just step through it and maybe we can talk about some of the technical details. So number 1, there's a multi-client strategy with 2 plugins. So Nethermind ETC plugin with a link to the repo in the agenda is a fully functional plugin supporting ETC mainnet and Mordor with POW, ECIP 1017, local remote mining, and MES finality, and also a Besu ETC plugin. Positive feedback from the core dev After this question about performance impact on hot paths, Diego pivoted to test the engine API path. All PAL logic stays in the plugin, zero impact on hot paths. Cody, could you decode this for us a little bit?
For the Besu one, they've been moving towards a plugin architecture overall. So instead of adding new things like mining or validators for chains that want to integrate with or use Besu for their core, they've developed the plugin path. And so Diego's been working on moving all of the things that make ETC, specifically ETC, and not just EVM, into a plugin. And so this is the engine API there. And so what this would do would let Besu be able to run ETC, us not have to worry about the main maintenance of the overall EVM and all the components with it, as far as execution client goes, and keep the components that are Ethereum Classic in the engine and the consensus. Proof of stake works. It plugs in through their through an API, and all of the consensus is handled by one node, and the execution is handled by the Besu client. And so that's it fits into that pattern. So it's more sustainable long term, and it's the same with Nethermind. They're the same type of pattern. It's a plugin. You build what your consensus rules are, what specific block handling and rules like that, and so it's the clients are more modular now than they used to be. So this is a lot more friendly than something like Geth, where you'll have to continuously be worrying about upstream updates and having the consensus tied closely with the execution client. So it's a long way of saying it's good things for ETC being able to maintain a small developer team and still do the changes they want without having to worry about maintaining a full client.
Right. And ultimately that means that the runway on the existing funding is extended, basically, because it requires less manpower to maintain ETC, because there's less code base to consider when making updates.
Yes, potentially.
Cool.
Right now we're pretty skeleton of it's Diego and part-time admin.
Diego powered by Claude.
Yeah, and Allison still does the financial side as well. So it's a small team, but they're holding it down.
Cool. And yeah, this decoupling into plugins seems like it's also being applied to let's see. Oh no, I'm mistaken. I thought this was also for core Geth, but no. Okay. Moving on to the next thing that Diego mentioned. This is CL/EL separation, a modern architecture for proof of work. This is what I was referring to. So I'll just read verbatim. To prove the engine API approach, Diego built etc-cl, a standalone consensus layer client in Rust that handles all proof of work consensus, ethas validation, difficulty calculation, uncle root rules, dev P2P, and talks to the execution layer through the engine API, the same architecture as Ethereum uses for POS, adapted for proof of work. The minimal EL changes needed, about 860 lines of non-test code across 85 files in Go Ethereum. This demonstrates that CL/EL split keeps every EL close to upstream, making long-term maintenance feasible. So yeah, this is essentially similar to the plugin approach, but more of like an architectural consensus layer versus execution layer separation.
Yeah, and it makes it cleaner with porting from upstream also, because Ethereum has split theirs into consensus layer upgrades and execution client upgrades, and so when they mash them together, it's easier to split out which ones are just execution. So
that's good. and it's currently written in Rust. Does this, so there'll be kind of like an execution client only, and then a consensus layer client only, and these will be separate things, or will they be bundled as the same client to end users? I think Cody may be offline. Maybe he dropped a connection there.
Oh, oh, sorry. I was in a place where I couldn't really speak before. How are you
Not at
guys?
all. Yeah, good. Did you want
Yeah, I
to
guess.
chime in?
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to say I hope all you guys are okay. I heard the chat with Ruski there. Uh, on the topic with my with moderation and stuff like that, I would say the way it was handled, it was kind of uh not the greatest, but it is what it is. So yeah, I'm just trying to help like help monitor and just get rid of bots. But there are actually a lot fewer. So
Mm.
anyways, but yeah, that
Could
was
you,
my perspective on the topic there.
could you elaborate as to what parts you think were done not the best?
Well, yeah, well, it's just like them, like people announcing it's been like moved to. There's like
Mm.
the main ETC discourse moved to thing, but yeah, I guess in technically there's not really a main ETC discourse, but it is the one that was there from where I guess you guys and Cody all started up, right? So.
Yeah, understood. It's
Hmm.
it could have been communicated better, I guess, and reach consensus.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
I think,
it is what it just yeah, it is, but it's a big world, right? So
I mean, what do you
yeah.
expect from somebody who calls himself the Troll King? You can't take anything that man says credible.
Well,
Thanks for your 2 cents, Rusky.
yeah, well, yeah, yeah. I think it'd be a lot better if we keep it like gentleman like, I guess. But
And well, there
yeah,
was
like
never gentlemen like
I
that in
understand
Ethereum
your
Classic. If you know
no,
the history of
yeah, well,
ETCs,
no,
because you cannot get anything done when this gentleman. If a parasite is attacking your body, do you behave like a gentleman and just, hey, parasite, would you
well,
kindly remove yourself?
I guess,
But it
yeah,
doesn't work that way.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, everyone has different perspective, right? And then the way he handles stuff, I guess. But then, like that's just my perspective on the topic. It is what it is. Like, if the if Cody, I would say he would for me, he's like the lead developer kind of guy, kind of. So if they're saying there's going there, I don't know where it's gonna go. But then there are like over like 400 people that frequent the Discord for. So I would like, what are you gonna do with them? Like I don't know how. Like I'm staying there trying to support. I don't know where Goat went. So, but I hope everything works out. I'm gonna be there for as long as I can. Which is yeah,
Just
hopefully
put your
ever
trust
forever.
not in one man. That's all I gotta say. Don't put your trust in no man. Okay, there is gonna be no kings in Ethereum Classic. It's just like Ethereum Classic is just like Bitcoin when in ideology. Okay, is no different. So just like there's no
Well,
kings
for
in
sure, no
Bitcoin, there's
kings,
gonna be
right?
no kings in Ethereum Classic.
For sure. That'd be the ideal, right?
yeah, for sure. They can't be. There are no, and they cannot be by nature.
Hmm.
Okay, so yeah, thanks for the clarification, Justin. And yeah, hopefully the Discord, having two of them, I don't see as a main, like a huge problem. Maybe slightly confusing to new people, but there's not that many of them, so it's good to have redundancy. And I should
All I
make a
know is
note.
it can't be a community server when you push your own agenda. That's all I'll say. Because you create a server that you call a community server, but you're only pushing one agenda. That's not a community server. That's a hostile takeover, I would call. Because if Charles Hutchinson
Well,
did such a thing back in the day, man, the whole community would have eaten him alive. Do you understand? And it didn't happen for that very reason. And he did actually try to create a Discord and nobody joined. But here they had to literally go change the link on the website. They had to block and mute some people and do this and that. We lost Don. It drove Don insane. He literally took his own life because of this. And you guys talk about you guys are good people, huh, Cody?
Wow. Can we kick him at some point, or
I know
are we
truth
just
is
going to let him
hard, truth is
run?
bitter, truth is hard, and truth is
okay.
bitter.
That
But that's the truth, my brother.
well,
That's
okay.
you're
That's
over the
okay.
line.
It's
Yeah,
not you are over
that's
the
a little
line. What
much.
you guys are doing to this community is over the line.
Okay,
You are completely over the line, sir.
Okay, yeah, I can only like politely ask that we keep the temperature down. I understand it's a passionate topic for all of us, really, but I think if we want people to engage, we have to be, keeping less less passionate in our conversation. I'm a kind of like non-moderation person. I'm more like let people speak, but at the same time, all I can do is encourage people. I don't want this call to end up being a place where people are boycotting it because there's too much aggressiveness or it's uncomfortable for people. So let's just try and maintain that if possible. And I don't really want to have to put in limitations on who can join. So I don't know. It's an opinion that you're entitled to hold, but it's something that it yeah,
It's
it's
the
a tough
truth,
one.
man. That's all I gotta say. It's the truth. And that truth is hard. Who can bear it?
Let's move on from this and get back to the code. So the right, where were we? So we have this third point from Diego, which is Go Ethereum Classic next generation core Geth. It's a full-featured standalone ETC client, bringing core Geth's functionality up to Go Ethereum. Wiki catalogs 85 integration points. Okay, awesome. So this is actually useful for the ETC Nexus stuff, which basically, from what I understand, the core Geth currently is in an older state without the additional flags that need to be operated. So if I can just switch out for this fork, then I can activate all the 1121 flags and easily start testing on this. So this is great work from Diego to keep things up to date on Go Ethereum Classic. So thanks, Diego, if you're listening. The fourth point Diego wanted to talk about was protocol research, ECIP 1120. So Diego and myself are co-authors of this ECIP, and progress on 1120 has just received input from a Nethermind core dev who proposed using a system contract for historic Coinbase tracking, the same approach Ethereum uses for block hashes. So I believe this would be an alternative approach to implementing the miner distribution curve. Instead of using a stateless lookback that's calculated dynamically on every block, we could use a system contract for historic Coinbase tracking, similar to Ethereum. And I guess this puts it more in line with the Olympia proposal where there's a contract on chain, but using it as for a different purpose. So whether or not the funds are stored in that thing is separate to whether or not you're tracking the Coinbase in a stateless way. as far as I understand. Obviously, this topic requires a deeper dive. I've only got a single paragraph, but this is an update from Diego.
Yeah. I guess, was there any more information around that? I know Diego was looking into, because we had to keep a block window, and that's what he was looking at using for this, for the estimation. I wonder why the contract was more efficient, or the way.
My guess is that you eliminate some of the memory concerns that he raised previously with regards to like having a limit on the number of blocks that you look back at, that being 128 for safety reasons. So you could then have much more exotic curves, and you could potentially have that previously explored idea that I raised about a reservoir rather than a simple return. So potentially you could have you could build up a reservoir of miner fees such that in periods of low rewards, like near the end of the curve, you could start depleting from that reservoir instead. And then similarly, when you have lots of activity, you're always refilling the reservoir. So this could potentially solve the emission curve problem and provide an inflation-free way of having infinite miner rewards, if that makes sense. But I maybe, like from this single paragraph, I can't really glean much, but it'd be an interesting topic to go into for further research.
I'm interested.
And I would be, there seems to be a suggestion that we have this minor reward function. I mean, it must be part of any future version of Ethereum Classic that wishes to have miners near the end of the emission curve. So how that's implemented could be in a contract. Like, I'd like to see the details of how Olympia proposes that. Just Cody, you've read 1115, right?
Yes.
Could you explain the mechanism for how those funds are distributed on a block by block basis?
Probably not off the top of my head. No, it's been quite some time since I've looked at any of those.
Yeah, I'm trying to, because usually like transactions require an externally owned account, right, to be initiated. So I'm wondering how, on a technical level, you can initiate that kind of contract from the protocol level, and how that bubbles up.
Yeah, as far as getting a return or depositing into the contract, you mean?
So yes, but also the logic for distributing to miners. So if you have like a curve, then that means you need to maintain an array of miners, right, that have certain balances. Or do they have, maybe they just get credited and they have to manually pull them out? Is it automatically distributed?
I think it would have to be a pull for them to receive their money, like a withdrawal.
Right. So basically the 1115, it's basically just updating a ledger per block, which also requires some gas, right? And needs to iterate through X number of previous blocks. So there's like an additional overhead to that. But then on top of that, the miners would have to collect their rewards as they accumulate, or the mining pools would, and then figure out how to distribute that.
It would be an operation.
Yeah.
I mean, the long run, the safest thing is to have a lot of transactions, and then this mechanism doesn't matter as much for sustainability.
Yeah, but those transaction fees need to go to miners, don't they?
The transaction fees need to go somewhere. that's the, I guess, the heart of the debate of whether it's worthwhile for people to develop on the chain or whether miners get all of the.
Mm-hmm. So you just said that the solution, like this mechanism, is less relevant if there's a lot of transactions. But this is the mechanism for distributing those transaction fees, right?
For distributing the base fee, yes. The priority fee is still there. So even Ethereum, the proof of stake chain, at some point in its life will need to live off its transaction pool. Once the validators get saturated and the returns are near zero, they've become essentially what Ethereum Classic will be whenever it reaches the end of the block reward. It's everything has to come from transaction flow. If there's no transactions, it doesn't matter if 100% of the base fee goes directly into someone's pocket, because 0 times 100 is nothing. So if there's not a compelling reason to use your chain by the time your block reward runs out, there's you've reached chain death.
For Ethereum mainnet, because of the basically complete control the devs have over the emission curve, and they can change it at any time. There is no end in that sense, and they can inflate to infinity, and that's probably likely. For Ethereum Classic, it's true that when the emission curve is 0, and if there are no transactions, all things being as they are today, then yes, there's no profit incentive and the chain will die. But I think there is a mechanism that we could implement at this stage to basically bank those transaction fees and distribute them in the future. But again, just an area of research.
Yeah, I mean, it extends the timeline. It's what you buy yourself. I mean, Bitcoin runs into the same problem. It's the problem of blockchains. If the end goal is that you're going to be a fee market, then if the fee market doesn't come, then that's a problem.
Agreed. The problem that this solves, though, is it bridges the gap between temporarily low periods. So maybe there's no transactions in the next 3 blocks, or maybe even 1,000 blocks. But because there's a pool of transaction fees, you can subsidize those blocks. And then when there is a lot of traffic, then you basically just level off the transaction fees across different peaks and troughs.
Yeah, smooth it out.
Even after there's no emission curve.
I think that's a very interesting idea.
Yeah, hopefully I'll have more time to dig into that as ESIP 1120 research progresses, and shall we say, it's difficult to commit big blocks of time, but I'm already committing doing these calls, so let's try and keep the pace up. Is all I can say. All right, so
only there was some way to fund people who are looking into this research.
well, there is actually.
I kid. There is
It's
the
always
ETC
about the
grand
money.
style.
It's always about fund me. That's the problem. You think about money, but don't you know that the root of all evil is the lust for the money and the love for the money, and that's what's gonna ruin this chain. Is if we give this chain to the people like this who think like this, because that's what Charles Hodgkinson was thinking like, and thank God we ran him off.
Okay, so we're basically reaching the end of the docket. We are over the hour. There is a topic on quantum resistance, but the author of that PR hasn't joined the call this week. The only other things I potentially wanted to mention are that I will try to include the full transcript of all future calls into the post-call update on the website, so there can be no complaints about AI misinterpreting the calls. And also it makes it easier for agents to parse the content of the calls. I was thinking, Cody, that I saw the Twitter Together thing you created, and we could potentially automate that as a GitHub action before calls, so we can send out tweets or create PRs at least automatically on a cron job or something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, and there might be some other opportunities for like certain pull requests getting merged. We could push that to Twitter to at least show there's things happening, right?
Yeah, that's you should be able to trigger those with GitHub actions from any of the other repos, I think, because I know you can do webhooks to the Discord.
So hopefully the AI transcript picks up that and creates an action item for us to tackle. And I guess kind of relevant to today's call, should like there be any other process improvements we can make to this call? Like, I think the best way, just the only way in this like permissionless environment to engage with each other is, if you don't like what someone's saying, just ignore it, and or try to fork things and do your own thing and have multiple different options. And it's a weird, it's a very unique and strange community to be part of. But personally, I just try and give everyone the benefit of the doubt, I guess. And yes, whether that's accurate or not, I don't know how to guarantee, but
I
things
like
will
it.
play out as they do. Yeah, I love it, actually. I love this community, even though it's very crazy, and that's what makes it so interesting to me. So
Yeah.
I would say, please don't change to people. Be your true selves, everyone. Just try to be nice.
I love it.
Okay. That's great. So unless there's any other topics that people want to bring up to the table, now's the time. I'll give a few seconds of silence before we wrap things up. If you want to jump in, do.
Just an open call to anybody who wants to be an ECIP editor or contribute time of helping review PRs and things like that. We can always use more help.
Yep, the call is out. How can they reach out? There's a volunteers repo, right?
There's a volunteers repo, or you can message in either the Discords and just raise your hand, say you want to volunteer. ETC is different than regular Ethereum. It's they're both open source, but the other Ethereum is more like a cathedral where people just go there and worship, and ours is more like a bazaar where everyone's expected to pitch in. So both models work, but ours is a little more fun, even if it's messier. So just reach out and we can get you in the repo.
Loving the reference, by the way. And yeah,
that was a pretty good reference, I will say. I would just mention before I forget, reminder, if you're going to India for DevCon, let me know and we can try and organize something. I think that's it. All right. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining the call. It was a spicy one.
When's the next one? 2 weeks?
I will need to confirm exactly when that is. Actually, that's a good point. A process improvement will be to confirm the next call before doing this call, so I can announce it. But for now, I'm not totally sure when the next call will be. Probably either 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe even 1 week, but we'll see.
Cool.
All right. Okay, so yeah, everyone stay tuned to the CC Ethereum Classic.org repo. You know where to find us. Thanks for listening. Take care. and see you next time. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Good evening.